Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. So in this video we're going to talk about 3D models, how you can import 3D models in your ThreeJS website. You might have 3D models that you made in Blender, for example, or you found something online that you want to have it in your website. We're going to import it in the website, and then we're going to add shadows, and also at the end we're going to do some cool scroll based animations with the model that we imported. So without further ado, let's get started. Alrighty, so as I said, you might have your own 3D model, or you want to get something from an online source. Here I'm at sketchfab.com, and this is the model that I'm gonna use for this video. I just searched for park, or you can do like city, any 3D model that you want. Make sure it's downloadable, and if you look at the download 3D model section of that page, you should be able to see several formats. We're gonna work on the GLTF format and GLTFloader for ThreeJS, so this is what I'm using, but feel free to use any other format. Normally what I'm about to do, with just small changes, you can make it work for any other format, but there might be some small things that only are applicable to GLTF format. So I'm gonna do GLTF. I have already downloaded it. It's basically a folder called City Park at Sunset, and then it's got the license file, scene.bin, scene.gltf, which is the main file that we will be using, and then some textures here. So that's mainly the structure of the downloaded file. Probably the same will be in your case if you have another GLTF model. So once we do that, I'm here in VS Code. I have like a starter code, really simple one here. This is what we've worked on in previous videos, and again I'm here using my Webpack boilerplate with 3JS stuff under my app for Canvas, 3JS index.js. And what I have done is I have copied the model under the static folder. I created a models folder, and then I have the City Park at Sunset with everything inside it. So once I do the npm start or npm build, it's gonna put everything in the public folder that I have right here. So it's gonna be like you say here, models, and then we have everything there, and that will be where we will be using to refer to this model. So real quick, let's go check out localhost 3000/3js. As I said, right now I don't have much here. It's mainly that's the logo and a little bit text here. I am going to actually hide that text for now, so that we don't really have anything. And this is just not really scrollable, just like a 100 viewport height, and yeah, so nothing here. And we're gonna bring our model here in a minute. So what we're gonna use, as I said, we have GLTF model here, so I'm gonna use GLTFloader, and to do that we can import GLTFloader from the examples folder under JSM loaders, and then there is where you can find other loaders as well, like FBX loader and other loaders that they have. Once you do that, we are going to define a function inside our constructor here, and that is setup scene, and then I'm just gonna add that right below constructor here. Simple, just like a park loader constant, and then we're gonna instantiate or initiate, whatever that's called. Anyway, GLTFloader here, new GLTFloader, and then I'll be like parkloader.load, and this is the path to my file. So as I said, everything will be in the public folder. So /models/city park at sunset and /scene.gltf. GLTF, which is the main file that we are using. Now, the objects, everything in them, this GLTF file is gonna be under the scene parameter. So we're gonna see what's in there. So I'm gonna do save here. I'm gonna see what's inside GLTF.scene, and let's take a look at it. So as you see here, I have like this sketchfab scene group, which is a type of group, and then we have like all this position, matrix, layer, children, properties, and then as I go deeper into children, there are again like multi-level children here, and as I keep going there, I'm eventually going to find like a list of all the objects that are inside this 3D model. And if you, as you can see here, there's like 70 objects, and this might be the case for a lot of models that you download online. And to put it like in better ways, I have opened the model in Blender here, so you can see here, well, basically if you want to import the model, you go to File, Import, GLTF, and then you'll just like select the scene.gltf file that you had, and it's just gonna open it up here. If you look at this scene collection here, we have like the sketchfab model here. And if I go back to here, we have the sketchfab scene, which is a group. So that's basically what we have here. And then we have all these, once you open up this tree here, you see you have all these objects and all the like even if you open these up, you'll see the materials used for them as well. And you can like click Z here, and then you can see the material preview also. Right now it was in the solid view, so that's what we have. And I just wanted to show you that like there are so many objects, like each of these trees, the rocks, the like this small pool, the wolf here in the middle, these are all single objects. That like these benches here, all of them. So we will be looking further into like especially this wolf, and when we want to like cast shadow of the wolf on this pool, and then we try to find out where that is. But normally if you have a 3D model, if you don't want to separate them all, eventually you want to like kind of like put them all together into one object, man, and that will be much easier and better performance wise for browsers. But right now I'm just like trying to show you stuff so we can work with this. So yeah, as you could see, like we had to go deep inside the children and like probably 3 or 4 levels to get each individual object. So it's always good to do the console.log for GLTF scene. We haven't added our scene yet, so what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna just add it, this scene.add GLTF scene, and then let's save it and see what we have here. Okay, so we see something here, but obviously like our camera position is not the best, because like we have the camera at -0, -10, 0, so it's not like looking at the scene directly. By the way, when you import, like load your scene, it's gonna be centered at 0, 0, 0, so that's also something you can keep in mind. And you will probably like, if you again take a look at the console that like you might see some position there at 0, 0, 0. So next thing I'm gonna do orbit control, so I can like import orbit control, so I can just like drag around, zoom in and out, and then it's better so I can see the whole scene there. So under constructor, inside constructor, I'm gonna uh, add my orbit control, and also inside my update function here I'm gonna do the controls update here. I have videos on all these, so go check out my channel if you want to know more, and I put links throughout this video also on the top right corner, so you can check that out. So right now we see like a black thing, but if I like zoom out and then start like rotating this, you can see that my scene is there. Obviously there are no lights, this is like just the scene, so we need to add some lights, and then we use the light to also cast shadow on that wolf. So this was not that hard, right? Just like 2 lines of code here. We have like park loader, and then add that scene to our main scene, and that's it. So next thing, we're gonna add light here. So I'm gonna define another function, add lights here, and just gonna add that underneath this setup scene. Add lights, I'm gonna do a directional light, the position of the light 10 10 0, and then basically adding that light to our scene. This 10 10 0, you can like work with these numbers. Obviously I have like intensity of 3 right now for the directional light. You can change it, and the color also is just like kind of like bright color. So that's that. I've added the light to this scene. Let's go check it out and see how it looks like right now. So again, my camera is kind of like underneath the scene here. If we look at it, yeah, so we have orbit controls. Now I have light, and I can see what's happening here. I'm using directional light, so I'll put the link to this directional light section of the ThreeJS documentation. You can take a look there as well. Nothing special, just like color and intensity, and that's it. So the next thing we're gonna do, I'm going to add shadows. Now we need to enable shadow map, and again there is a link in the documentation right here, directional light shadow. So I'm gonna follow everything from there. We're gonna have to add the enable the shadow map on the renderer, and define the type. I'm gonna use everything similar to what they have here. So I've added that right after render in my constructor. I have my shadow map enabled true, and then the default type here. And then the next thing we need to do is to go inside our add lights function here. So what I have added is these few lines here, just to cast shadow light true, and then a shadow map size width height and camera near far. Again, I'm doing what they have here. You can definitely go to this link and check out more stuff there, what these are, and it's not too hard. You can like just read the documentation and you'll understand everything. So we have this right now here. If I save it right now the way it is, let's check out. I don't expect to see any changes because we haven't defined what we want to cast the shadow on, and like what object is going to receive it. So in ThreeJS, when you're casting shadow on, you need to have like on an object, and then you need to receive the shadow on other objects. So in this case, I want to receive shadow on everything except for this wolf here, and I want to cast the shadow of this wolf. So like my light is right here, and then it will be we will be casting the shadow of this wolf wherever it can be casted, depending on the location of the light. And we'll use some helpers later on to show where exactly the shadow casting is happening, and that will help you understand better. So that's first thing. Now next thing we need to do is let's actually add the helper right now. you can add this camera helper to see like where the shadow casting is happening. So it's simple, just 3 camera helper, and you add the shadow, the camera of the light here, and then just don't forget to add it to the scene, obviously. Let's check it out quickly. Right here, so you can see here that I have this light and it's like directional right, since I placed it at that 10 10 0 position, it's here, and then like it will be it's in a good position to be able to cast shadow of this wolf on the rest of the scene. So let's see, let's go back to our code here. One thing I can do also is to add the access helper. This is just gonna give me option to see like where my stuff are, where my scene and like objects are, and this is not anything like hard. We know that again, this green is y-axis, and then we have the red and blue, which are x and z axis here. All right, next thing, we are gonna use a method called traverse inside our loader here, park loader.load. What it does, it goes through all the objects in the scene, and then we can use the item basically here to see which one is my wolf, and then I say, hey, I want to cast shadow of wolf, and then the other items in the scene, I just want to receive the shadow on them. So let's do a quick console.log again here. So remember, just keep in mind this is like the traverse on the GLTF scene, and we're gonna see like all our different, not just our object 3D that we saw in the when we console that like GLTF scene itself. We have the sketch tab scene here, model, then like these are group object 3D, we have meshes here, and so on. So this is like everything we have basically in that Blender file. If you look at it, we have the sketchfab model here, and that I believe, yeah, right here we have it. Then I have the root nodes, cylinder, aqua 0. So you can see all that here, aqua 0. So everything is in this, like in this traverse function, you can have access to. So again, going back to this here, I want to know what this wolf is. So I'm gonna like click it in Blender here and see which one is selected. So as you can see here, this one right here, wolf material 001 is selected. So I'm gonna grab this one from the list that I have here. So if I scroll down, it's probably like the somewhere in here. Let's try to find it. Wolf, if I can find it, right there. So this one here, and that will be the name item. This, each of these are this item here, and then dot name, item dot name equal to wolf material is gonna be my wolf. So let's grab that. So I'm gonna say if item dot name is equal to wolf material 0, then I'm gonna save this item inside my wolf variable. And then what I'm gonna do with this wolf variable, first of all, 2 things. First of all, I want all my items well, technically except the wolf, but right now we are targeting all the items. All the items I want to have the to not be able to cast shadow, but to be able to receive shadow. So everything will receive shadow, and this here also includes the wolf. We haven't excluded that. But again, outside this function, since I have my wolf, I'm gonna just for that wolf say the opposite. I want to be able to cast a shadow, but it doesn't want to receive shadow. And this is totally up to you. Obviously, based on what you're doing, you might want to also receive shadow on the wolf. I don't know if there is like something else that might have a shadow on the wolf. But right now, I'm just like trying to cast the shadow of the wolf on the rest of the scene. So I'm gonna save this real quick here, and let's go back to localhost 3000, our ThreeJS endpoint here. So now if I take a look, if I can, yeah, so now here you can see that I have the shadow of the wolf on my scene, and that depending on where you have put your light, it might be like in different locations. But here I can see like I have the shadow on this like little stone thing here, and then the water. The water might look a little bit weird, so what I'm gonna do, I see like a 2 level. This might be right, I don't know, but I'm going to actually show you how you can remove the shadow like from one object if you don't really like it. So again, we need to find out what this water is called, so I can click on it in Blender here, and that will be aqua here, aqua underscore aqua underscore 0. So we can grab that in our code again on inside this traverse function here. So I'm gonna do another if. This time, if the item name is aqua 0, I want to grab it, save it as my water variable, and then outside this here, I'm gonna say I don't want to receive any shadows on this water. So this water.receive shadow is false. And then once I do that, let's go back and check out again our scene here. You could have changed the camera location, so we didn't need to do it all the time. But like you see now, uh, what I meant by doing this is just like having to use orbit control to come up here. Anyways, now you can see like that one layer on the water itself is gone, and I feel like this looks more reasonable. I don't know. Anyways, it's just like I'm just showing you how you can do things, then you can decide what you can keep or change things depending on the use case that you have. So that's basically about it. You can like do the same thing on any other object with any like lights other places in the scene. We can have like a big light outside that is like kind of casting like a shadow on everything, just one single light, and then you'll be able to see different shadows on different objects here. So that's that part. The next thing we're gonna do is to add some scroll based animation. So right now we have this here, and this is good. I mean, like if the purpose of this website that you're building is just showing this scene and some shadows and all that, that's all good. But I was looking at this other website the other day. This is midvamguess.com, and what they had was really nice. So when you first enter the website, it has like this cool background. You have no idea what this is until you start scrolling and you see that this is basically a human body, and it was like the head of that body here. So that looked kind of cool to me. So that's what I'm doing here. I want to start, let's say, from here. Now if somebody opens this page, obviously these will get rid of the helpers. It's gonna be just a dark screen here. You'll have like a note here, start scrolling, and as they scroll, you'll like move the camera and then like kind of go inside this scene. Kind of what I'm have in mind is just like kind of zoom on this wolf here. So we're gonna do that now, and we're gonna use green sock again for scroll based animation. So once everything is loaded, this is very important. Once everything is loaded under inside your loader.load function, I am going to add this setup scroll animation function, and I already have it here. This is similar to what we did in a couple previous videos. I have locus scroll, I have scroll trigger, everything set up here. It's the basic setup that we need for this to work. And then I put a link to the video that I explained these on this top right corner here. But this is the stuff that we need to start with. And the next thing we're gonna do, we're gonna actually add GUI, a little GUI. Again, I have another video on this too. But the purpose of this is to know, hey, I'm now doing scroll trigger. I'm gonna scroll and move the camera. Where should I move the camera? Like, what's a good position? So with this GUI here, you're just gonna initiate it here, and then you can add this the camera position XYZ to the GUI, and then you'll have like a cool user interface kind of thing that you can play with. I'll show you in a second. And then you can do this for anything else in your scene. If you go to the light section here, you can check the intensity of the light using that as well. Again, there is a video I have for this, and I'll put a link to that also. You can go check that out. But what I'm trying to do here is that, hey, I need to scroll and then have like a good position for this as I scroll. So I can play with this. Let's say I want to like be in this position right here. So let's see. If I set my Y to like about 10, 12 maybe, that's good. Then X 0 is actually fine. And then like for my Z also I can play this. So this is like maybe like one of the camera positions that I want to scroll to, and we'll see more in a minute what I mean by that. The intensity of light is like you can change it. You can see how intense it gets. The 3 that I had originally, I'm happy with that, so I'm gonna keep it. Anyway, this is how you can find like the scroll, the position of the camera after you scroll it. You scroll in your page. And what I'm gonna do first, I'm gonna add some text here. I have this ThreeJS intro and ThreeJS story div blocks here. I'm just giving some scrollable area. So I have like 300 viewport height for my story, ThreeJS story here. I'm just trying to make sure there is space to scroll. So I'm gonna save it here. We can here get rid of orbit control because now we're gonna move inside the scene using scrolling. So I'm gonna comment that out there. We have this here. I'm gonna comment this out here, and then we had the small piece in our update function. I'm commenting that out as well. And then the next thing I'm gonna do, I am going to save this gltf.scene inside a variable. I call it park. This is basically my whole scene, and I want to use this later on in my scroll animation here, and I'll show you what I mean by that. So I'm gonna define a timeline. The scroll trigger is gonna be my ThreeJS, the main class here I have, and then my trigger is gonna be the ThreeJS story. And I have talked about all these in another video, so go check that out. Start when top of the trigger hits the top of the viewport, not the bottom, the top of the viewport, and then end bottom to bottom. And then the first thing we're gonna do, we're gonna change the camera position to negative 100 z of 50. And this is why I added the GUI, so you can see, hey, so I want to, originally when I started, I was at 10 10. I was at 0 negative 10 0. So this is where I am right now. The next point I want to go is 0 negative 150. So 0 negative 100, probably way below this. I only have 50 here, and then 50 ish, like it will be like this. So you can like test different numbers here and then add them here. So I'm going to save this, and then let's see what happens just with one scroll animation. So if I save that, you'll see like a problem here that, again, my camera is not looking up to the scene anymore, and we can fix that by adding the camera lookout property here. So we do this camera that lookout at 0 0 0, and that's gonna make sure that at our original stage here, when we load the page, the camera is still looking at the 0 0. So we have that dark scene here. I'm gonna start scrolling, and then as you can see, I'm scrolling. This is the 0 negative 150 location that we checked previously. And then we can do the rest of our animations here. So let's say I want to now this time rotate my park around the x-axis, and I've played with these numbers, so it's not easy sometimes to get these. Again, you want to play with the GUI or like test different numbers here. Obviously, like spend a few minutes or maybe an hour, you don't need to know, but that's how it is. You can also find your thing. So right now I'm just scrolling. So the first scroll is like people don't have any idea what's happening. Zooming out, then I'm rotating my scene here, and then now probably I want to move this scene a little bit so that it's closer to the camera. And to do that, I'm gonna do like another park position move here. So negative 90 for Y and 45 for Z. This time I'm adding this here. That means that these two are gonna happen at the same time. That's a GSAP thing. So I'm rotating and moving the position of the park at the same time. So if I save it right now, let's go back here. As I start scrolling over here, you're gonna see I scroll. So the first section, which was the camera position, is gonna happen first. Once we reach to the end of the position that we wanted, the next step, the rotation and the position change of the scene, are gonna happen at the same time. So you see this cool effect. I'm kind of like going inside, and then I'm zooming in on this wolf right here. So all this is happening as I scroll. And then once that's done, you see like our light and shadows are messed up, and that's because we are moving the park here. Our scene is moving, but the light is not moving. We're gonna do the same for the light. You can move the light as well. Again, these numbers that I have here, I played with them, and I feel like this is a good combination that I have. So I'm again doing the change of the light position at the same time as the park, like our scene rotation and position change. So if I go back here, we will also have like a cool shadow move kind of thing. You'll see what I mean. So I'm going in there now. My light is moving. You can see the helper that we had for the light. You can see that is moving, and then right here we have this. Okay, so Now we have the light, everything is moving. And then the next thing that we need to take care of is the shadow. So I don't see the shadow anymore here. That's because as we move the, like as we keep scrolling, this target of this light here, you can see, is not really focused on this wolf anymore. The light is kind of like away from the wolf. We can fix that by adding, like in this setup scroll animation at the beginning, we can let me first actually we can like get rid of the helpers so it's easier for us. And so the access helper here in the constructor, I got rid of that. Then I had the camera helper. I can actually keep this camera helper here for now, because what I'm going to show you is that we are now going to focus on our wolf. The shadow is gonna be focused on our wolf. So what I'm gonna add is this light, that the target is gonna be my wolf. So if I save that, now the target for the light is gonna be the wolf. And then as I move this, as I keep scrolling here, you'll see that the target always stays at wolf. And you can see this shadow movement that I talked about just a minute ago. You can see because the scene and the light are moving, and now we have this shadow over there, and that's just because of the final position of the light that we have. So that's kind of cool. And then lastly, let's remove the camera, this helper here, so that we can see the final experience here real quick. Let's do it. So we are here. Can actually get rid of the GUI as well. So I'm gonna get rid of this GUI here real quick. And last one here, so that we don't have anything in the scene. Alright, we have this. Welcome to the new world. That's like our HTML stuff. You can have like start scrolling here. Nobody has any idea what's gonna happen. Then as they scroll, this scene appears, and then you keep scrolling, and then you are kind of like moving inside. And let's say this is the focus of your, I don't know, website, or the first thing you want to talk about is this. Then you can keep scrolling. Obviously, once they've seen this, show other objects in the scene, focus on them, the same way we did with the scroll with this timeline that we have defined. Alright, so that's about it. That's all I wanted to show you guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you liked the video, please make sure to hit the like button below. And if you're new to the channel, please subscribe to the channel. And don't forget to turn the notification bell on as well. Thanks a lot, everyone, and have a good day.